Great. So a warm welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending today. Great to see such a strong attendee list for our Lunch and Learn around the topic that's very close to a lot of people's hearts at the moment and very topical around AI for the risk averse. Thought I would just start with a quick 30 seconds on HSO, who we are, because to some people on the call probably they'll be aware of us, but some people will not be. So we are a global systems integrator, cloud transformation specialist, focusing only on the Azure platform, but covering data and AI, modern workplace, security, infrastructure, low code, no code, or Power Platform, as it's commonly known, and business applications. So the full suite of Microsoft solutions. And what you see on your screen just now is kind of mission statement from us about kind of why we get out of bed and every day to speak to customers and solve problems. So I'm going to pass you over now to Ben Coleman. Ben is going to be our MC and coordinating things for this afternoon, keeping us all in check. So Ben, over to you.
Thanks, Craig. Right, so a couple of things. As Debbie said, there should be a poll available to you in the meeting. I don't know if one of my colleagues can just make sure that that's there. The question on that is, what is the main barrier to your organisation adopting AI? Obviously, it's all aligned to that theme, AI for the risk averse. So please pop answers to that. We'll be looking at that at the end, hopefully, any of those answers. And also, as Debbie said, there's a little form. Right then, moving on, we'll introduce ourselves to start with. So we're going to do it slightly differently. We're going to go around the presenters that we've got today, asking a few questions. What's your name? What's your role? A quick observation about AI, and one thing about you that most people don't know. Michelle, I can see you first. So is that all right if you go first? So what's your name?
Absolutely fine. I'm Michelle B. I have been obsessed with AI, especially LLMs, for the last 3 years, and I've been building my own little solutions to help me in my own role in bids. So I've built competitor intelligence solutions. I built a SharePoint agent to help me with data. So I am an AI enthusiast.
Lovely. Thanks, Michelle. Did you get your observation about AI in there?
I think what I would say is there's so much hype and so much probably misinformation about AI. So I would just urge everyone to think narrowly and think, how might they apply AI just to what they're doing in their own roles, and start there. Because I think if you try and imagine the whole of AI, it just becomes too confusing.
Thanks, Michelle. Steve, next.
I'm Stephen Simon. I'm the Business Development Manager for Data and Analytics. I would say the main thing about AI is where to start. It's how to look at the different projects and opportunities and how do you prioritise them. One thing about myself, I used to live in the Middle East for 10 years.
Interesting. Lovely. Thanks, Steve. Craig?
Thank you, Ben. So Craig Russell, Cloud Sales Director at HSO. Observation about AI is, I would say, start with the data. So start with the data that should be your starting point. I think a lot of people tend to look at AI and jump straight into AI, but if your data isn't in a good state, you don't understand the value of it, and you can't have any trust in it, then that's not a good starting point. So so if the data is of good quality going into your AI potential use cases, then it's no surprise that the quality coming out is good. So if you're putting junk in, you're going to get junk out. So that would be my observation. My kind of fact or interesting fact about me is I've actually played tennis with Rafa Nadal at his tennis academy in Mallorca. Badly, I might add to that. And but that's one kind of interesting fact about me.
Interesting. Did you win?
No. Short answer.
Short answer, no. No, fantastic. Thanks, Craig. And then finally, myself, I'm Ben Coleman. I'm also, like Steve, a BDM here, Business Development Manager. My observation about AI, it's a bit of a philosophical one, and it's that it's as much about the technologies surrounding it and the people using it as it is about AI itself. You can't look at it with blinkers on. And then fun fact about myself that few people know, I once wrote the theme tune to a TV program. It's called The Dice Man. It was on the Discovery Channel. There you go. Fun fact. Lovely. Right, moving on. AI for the risk averse. So this session is for the risk averse amongst us. I count myself amongst the numbers of the risk averse. I'm a risk averse mountain biker, for example, which is a bit of an oxymoron. We're going to try and look at things from our perspective as risk averse people. Looking at the statistics, you're not alone. Now, we do appreciate, just looking at the next slide, that the word disruptor that you can see here can be a bit triggering for the risk averse, but we've selected that word specifically because we do need to recognize that AI is not going away and our businesses will fall behind if we don't harness it. Craig, you've got a few observations to make about these stats we can see.
Yeah, so just picking up on the stats here, so I mean, adoption is expected to rise and climb. That's no surprise to anyone. I think, IDC said recently that 77% of organisations, enterprise organisations, are looking at or trialling AI currently at the moment. So it's no longer bleeding edge. It's mainstream. It's here. It's now. It's trying to identify those use cases within each and every organisation. Some of these use cases specific to sectors, some of them more holistic across various different industries on, where AI is a good position within the sector. So for me, I think no surprises in some of these stats on the right-hand side in terms of some of the top use cases. Just not going to go through every single one of these, but just to touch on the data management and analysis piece. That's a common one we see with our customers at the moment. So, embedding AI into processes that are there at the moment is where we get maximum value from that, because that's where, multiple data points and data sources providing proactive assessment and proactive, more data-driven decisions from organizations mean that you can be more agile and mean that you can get, in some cases, the data, the outputs and insights from this into the hands of the people that matter within an organization to make an agile, quick business decision. And that's, that can be the difference between competitive edge. It can be the difference between, in some cases, profitability. So seeing a lot of use cases, and, I think some of these are industry specific, but some of them, as I say, are more broad across a variety of different sectors. And I like the analogy below about, drivers don't drive cars, they operate the system that drives cars. So we think of kind of AI in a similar vein to that in terms of, augmenting what you do rather than completely taking over.
Cool. Thanks, Craig. And Michelle, you've got a few thoughts on this. Oh, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Michelle.
Someone had to do it. Why not me?
Yeah.
So this is a snapshot of different departments in an organisation and how they might utilise as well as adopt AI. So it's no surprise that IT's at the top. They're looking at process automation, infrastructure management and cyber security. And then marketing follow closely. If you think about all the kind of data-driven analysis that they need, AI is really helping to support them optimize campaigns and things like customer engagement. AI has been around in HR for quite a while, looking at things like smart candidate screening and supporting broader employee lifecycle management. Then in accounting and finance, they're using it to streamline compliance and, like Craig said, with the data-driven predictive insights for budgeting and risk assessment. For sales, we can see it looking at things like lead scoring, forecasting, and customer service, looking at things like virtual assistants and chatbots. Legal is a real growth area at the moment, because if you think about the amount of data they have to process, things like research, compliance and contracts, I think that's a huge area that we'll see further adoption in, really. So it's really showing us how AI is reshaping the modern enterprise, essentially.
Yeah, it
Back
is.
to you, Ben.
It's interesting that the obviously IT is the big one there, but if you group all of the rest together, they far outweigh the IT piece. And one of the things we often see, as Michelle, you're saying, is that it often gets landed with IT, but actually it's the duty of those people wider in our organization across these other departments that really need to actually pay attention to what's happening with AI and learn how to do it, to adopt it themselves. Great stats, thank you. So what are the risk averse missing out on? Let's have a look at a few of the things that HSO have been doing. So these are a few examples, and then we'll talk about specific customers in a bit. So many different ways of leveraging AI, and you really have to get your thinking caps on and be creative and think of new ways, because there will be unique ways that AI can be adopted for your unique organization. So say, for instance, spotting PPE, protective equipment, or the lack of it. And if it is missing in a certain area, then flagging an alert. That's one way in which we're seeing it used, and we're using it. Any guesses what this might be?
Barrels. Is it? Eyes?
No.
Looks like speakers, actually.
No,
like
speakers on a
no.
on a 1970s stereo. No.
Yeah.
It's actually sheep poo. Sorry. Sorry to be rude there. It's using AI. What we're doing here is using AI to spot bacteria in sheep poo. And of course, this is something which, once you've trained the AI to do so, it can do much better than the human eye. So that's another way in which we've used it. Simple things like counting stuff and doing that accurately. Anomaly detection. Again, a human might easily spot an anomaly in something like a circuit board that we can see here. But AI will quickly spot it and then do something about it. This is a use case that we've used where people are moving containers around, and if a person is too close to a container, it'll shut the systems down. So a great example of the way that AI can be used to help people be safe. Also, analog dials. You might find them in many places, but how do we transfer that information from an analog dial into digital information? Then we can pass to another system in order to create alerts and so on. And so registering that as information is really good. And then thinking about sound as well, we can see how you can profile sound waves to understand what that sound is, map it, and then record that. And we'll talk a bit about how we've leveraged that later on. Craig, over to you for...
Thank you, Ben. So where AI can help. So a number of different use cases across here that we're seeing, a number of different kind of focus areas. So, you know, some organisations start off that AI journey in terms of just looking at personal productivity. So Copilot for M365, for example, you know, as that kind of starting point to look at kind of land that and then grow the message and grow the capability from beyond that. Seeing AI looking at customer experience, sentiment analysis, for example, a big one in call centres, you know, monitoring calls, for example, for a customer service orientated organisation. Operational efficiency is another one where we're seeing, as I said earlier on, about embedding into the process to actually look at, you know, where data insights on data sets and data sources can take minutes, whereas before it was taking, you know, days, if not weeks. The government side of things, obviously, a really important one, but very topical at the moment in terms of making sure that policy adherence, for example, is a big one in that area. Overall cost reduction, seeing that in different forms, though, in terms of looking at, you know, cost reduction that could just be to an organisation by operational efficiency combined with that. But more often than not, what we're seeing is organisations looking to be more data-driven with their decision-making. So decision-making at the moment is very reactive and it's very piecemeal. So we're looking to be much more kind of proactive with that and make a business decision with trust of that data, you know, in minutes rather than hours. So there are many different kind of areas here. And for me, I think these are going to evolve. You know, these use cases are going to evolve as we get sector-specific with the use cases, but also more holistic across a variety of different sectors where, you know, processes might be quite similar, but there's some immediate advantage that AI can bring by being adopted within an organisation.
Cool. Thanks, Craig. So looking at the customer cases, so thinking about one of our customers, Port Otago. Our customer was had to make commitments to not making noises at a certain time, and if there was noise at beyond a certain window, they would get penalised. They would get a penalty. So they needed to be able to demonstrate and give evidence about the actual noise that was taking place, and or almost prove their innocence. And so they leveraged this technology, the sound classification, to be able to show what the noises were that were being made, and to demonstrate that it wasn't their noise that was taking place by profiling the noises that they make and then comparing them to the other noises around the port. Right, and then moving on, we've got Steve that's going to talk about Stolt Tankers.
Yeah, Stolt's an interesting one. We'd been working with them as HSO for a while, sorting out the data infrastructure. They had a massive amount of data. One of the really important things for them was for the machine downtime, because if the engine was broke, obviously the ship can't transport the liquids. So what they needed to do is they had a massive amount of data on where it had happened previously. And so they used that to do predictive analysis. Now, that had a lot of knock-on effects. They were able to do things like go back to their insurance agents, renegotiate the contracts, and actually bring the premiums down, which was really interesting. So it wasn't just the fact of the uptime on the machine, it was the fall-on effects of it as well. It enabled them then to move on to different areas about approaching the customers, so they could use AI to say who is the most likely to actually be able to fill up spare capacity, etc. So it's a really interesting case study how they took one part of AI and then expanded upon it.
Cool. Thanks, Steve. Craig?
Yep, so a prestigious global law firm that we worked with as well, using AI within their organisation. So they wanted to improve their processes to provide their clients with expert insights on laws and regulations. So a common problem in this area is contract drafting, finding the right information, making sure that that's input into the documentation. And sometimes that information is repeatable. So it's very repeatable, and it's time consuming to go and get that. So HSO worked with this law firm to develop an AI application, the ESG Copilot as we're referring to it as, which automates that process of producing content, finds it quicker, dramatically increases the efficiency in terms of getting contracts out to their customers and to their clients, which has obviously an impact on the time spent on trying to kind of sift through, many different parts of the business, trying to find that information. And then, basically it produces the regulation that they're looking to write the content for, and then obviously getting that out to their clients. So taking a process here in terms of time-consuming manual work, taking that process that takes days, sometimes weeks, and turning it into literally minutes. So we're seeing the outcomes down the bottom there. So content creation in under an hour, which is a massive kind of jump forward for this particular customer. There's all sorts of other efficiency gains that are kind of pulled through as well, but we're seeing actually quality of content, which is a big measurable in this industry, being met as well, because there's various different ranges of sources that are available. So you find that when somebody is finding a piece of information for the first time, because of the continual knowledge here that it's building, you effectively build up a database of this knowledge, so you can find the information that you need quicker. So a massive engagement for HSO, and some really good return on investment here around these use cases.
Cheers, Craig. So Michelle, these are great capabilities that those of us that are risk averse could be missing out on, and also like some of those can appeal to the risk averse, of course, if we think back to the PPE one and the too close to the container and so on. But are we missing out for good reason? Are we right to be cautious? Is it secure?
Well, I think that's one of the biggest barriers to adoption. I think when ChatGPT first came out and everyone started ploughing lots of information into it, it just felt like there was no one really caring about security that much at that time. But Microsoft have really been investing heavily in security, and everything that we build out on the cloud platform, which is Microsoft Azure, is, it's secure by design. So security isn't an afterthought, it's actually built into every layer of the platform from day one. So when we architect a solution on Azure, we start with security as that foundational pillar, and then integrating more protection measures from the initial design phase. So if you think of it like constructing a building with a reinforced framework, every element like network security, identity management, data encryption is really planned and implemented to withstand threats before they even emerge. So I think one of the biggest barriers is people having a fear of data leaks and people hacking the system, whereas Microsoft have really come up with a very credible and impressive in-depth methodology that employs defense at every level. So it combines threat detection, continuous monitoring, and automated security control. So if you think of it like the layered approach, it means that if even one layer is compromised, that there's multiple additional safeguards in place to protect both your data and the applications. So there's always a regular kind of automated compliance check and security audits happening, which also minimises human errors and guarantees that best practice is applied. So I think the security by design gives you like an integrated framework that not only protects your business, but also supports compliance requirements as well. So I think Microsoft is really pushing this element of trust, which I haven't seen so well communicated and fully thought through. So I'd say that Azure is leading the way in terms of security frameworks.
Yeah, and they spend $1 billion a year on this. So I mean, it's really important. There's now significant kind of sums of money being put towards this to make sure that security is not just a one-time thing; it's a perpetual thing that's constantly evolving. And so it's a great bit of insight.
Well, that's reassuring, Michelle. Thank you. So, Craig, what have we found that's the best way to prepare for adopting AI in a safe way?
So HSO, we've got a two-phased approach. So initially what we do with customers is we have an AI readiness assessment that we propose. Now that assessment can be part funded or funded by Microsoft because of a relationship with Microsoft that we have. And that assessment really is aligning with stakeholders and people within different parts of the business to then look at, your maturity level or your kind of what the as-is state is, if you like, with this. So we map that engagement that we have with the various different people within the organisation to these 5 or 6 pillars. The pillars are data infrastructure, so looking at the infrastructure that's in place at the minute. Process maturity, so looking at if there's any enhancements that can be brought around from that particular pillar. The technical skill set, so where are the technical skills, where are the gaps, within the resources that you have within an organisation. The executive vision as well, one important part of that is looking at what do the executives or a C-suite within an organisation, what do they want from the technology, what does that look like? And from a business perspective as well, how do they, what's the business kind of strategy, if you like, around that? And then lastly, but by no means least important, is the governance and security aspect of that. So that is looking at the security parameters that are in place and making sure that everything that you're doing is secure and the guardrails are, adequate for what you're looking to do. So the upshot of this is that report then we present back to you. That's your report. You can decide what you want to do with it, but we very much hope that after that, piece of work in the workshops that you want to proceed with HSO to the next stage, which would be working with ourselves using the IP that we have, data extraction tools and other toolkits around implementing 3 confirmed use cases, which will be chosen by yourself, but will have significant ROI attached to them. 3 use cases, production live, ready to go in 90 days. So that's the commitment we give to customers. And that then enhances your AI journey because it accelerates things, but at the same time, it gives you the chance to focus on those 3 use cases, which are significant, ROI attached to them. So that's the 2-phased approach. As I say, the AI readiness assessment and then the actual implementation of these confirmed 3 use cases within 90 days.
Cool. Thanks, Craig. So yeah, please let us know if you're interested to explore that readiness assessment and into the Trailblazer as well. So just to sum up, I suppose one of the things, and I know we would say this, but do work with someone who's done this before. Don't go into this alone. You don't need to. There are organisations like H2O, hello, that would be delighted to actually work with you and help you on this journey. Just referencing back to the point I made at the head of the meeting, that AI doesn't stand alone. Having the related technologies and having capabilities in those areas is really important too. If you try to just deploy AI without looking at the related sister and brother technologies around it, then you really are kind of missing out. And so when you're looking at an organization to partner with on these sorts of projects, look for those related technologies. Power Platform is an obvious one. Obviously, the security piece that we've talked to and that Michelle talked about before, the data side of things, Steve with his expertise and so on, and also Power Platform. They're all really related technologies and really important to bring together in your journey towards AI.
You made that point really well about, transformation doesn't exist in one single solution area with the Microsoft ecosystem. It's a flexible platform, but at the same time, some of the things that we're talking about could fall under business applications. Some of them fall under infrastructure and security, as you mentioned. So the key is to work with a partner who has that wealth of resource and that coverage model as well, to be able to give you those perspectives. I think from HSO's perspective, we're really, really proud of the badges that we have with Microsoft. We've got a great relationship with Microsoft because the specialism we have is that platform of Azure. It's nothing else. It's only that platform. So that enables us to go deep, and be really kind of prescriptive about, the technology and its capabilities. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, really appreciate the questions. And yeah, likewise, if anyone has any questions they want to approach any of the panelists on, outside of this forum, then happy to answer those. We'll be doing more of these sessions moving forward, so stay tuned for a continuation of this. It's not a subject that's going away. So thank you to all the attendees for your attendance and the questions. And yeah, until the next time, we'll see you then.